Hey guys. So today we're gonna be talking with Rachel Suh. She is trying to make a difference in Colorado right now, and I think a lot of us will find what she has to say very interesting. Let's see how long it takes her to come on here. I'm not the best live host. I'm just gonna say, I I'm getting it down, but it's taken me some time. Let's see. Did it happen? Okay, let's see. Well, this is so weird. How, technology and the advancement, it's great, but it's not like how it used to be. Oh, yay. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Oh, I'm so glad that I really, I'm starting to get it now, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm just always hoping when I hit that invite button, somebody else is paying attention.
Yeah,
Got it.
absolutely. I just had to switch where I was located in my yard. It's so bright and sunny out right now, so I didn't want to be sweating while
Oh,
we were
good.
talking.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect, perfect. Steven's going to
Yeah.
join us at some point. He's finishing up dinner or
Okay.
something like that. So when I see him in, I'll pull him. Um, so I tried to go to your website and it flagged me. I I went to it the other day without a problem. I was looking through it. I was, kind of writing some things down because I wanted to be able to, I wanted to be able to ask you some questions about, what you have going on that would, that could kind of lead to a better conversation. Anyway, go to get on it today and it won't even let me get there now.
Okay, yeah, GoDaddy has done this to me about 3 or 4 times where they reset the HTTPS and the cookies. And then I have to go through and do the whole script over and over and over and over again. This is like my third time. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I think that's there's two ways you can look at that, right? It's like it's obnoxious because why, and all this stuff. But on the other hand, maybe it's because the information that you are putting out is kind of riling somebody up a little bit or
Well,
somebody's.
the platform itself is different from any of the other candidates,
Oh
just
yeah.
right off the bat, right? So Keep
Yeah.
Colorado Constitutional is about closing the constitutional loopholes. I actually talk about how we're just going to move right past that hyper partisan fighting that's happening in the legislature. We'll just have the people do this. It can be the people's initiatives. I've actually been working on drafts for those. I've got about 20 working drafts under the Office of Constitutional Accountability that I want to create under the governor's office. And one of them that I'm working on, I just started doing my edits here today for 2A.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have a 2A in our constitution, in the state constitution. Our Article 2 is like our Bill of Rights. And so Article 2, Section 13 is actually our right to keep arms and protect ourselves and our property.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and so the way that they have been working around this, the legislature and the judiciary, is they have a phrase in there that says, your right to protect yourself shall not be questioned.
Okay.
Okay, so as you
Okay.
know,
That's
that
very
that's
good to
pretty,
hear because I don't think I've
yeah,
ever heard that.
yeah,
I don't think I knew that. So
yep.
that's good to hear. Okay.
Okay, and so it's pretty vague, and I want to change it to something like, you can't criminalize it or register or ban. I want to be very, very specific in the verbiage to stop them from questioning it because
Yeah.
that's what they're doing.
Well, and there shouldn't be, I think that and maybe I'm wrong about this and you tell me how you feel because I feel like they're just throwing out everything that they possibly can to distract the people right now from these data centers and from the government overreach in every single aspect of our lives. The taxation is outrageous. We've got, like I said, I keep repeating it, 40% homeless rate. We've got, I watched a thing yesterday. Gas is up to like 862 in California in some areas.
Okay.
And you start thinking about that and I'm like, okay, well, that seemed to be like I remember when California was $5 and we felt like in Colorado that was extremely high.
Yeah.
Like that was that was unforeseeable, right?
Yes.
And now look at us. Here we
I know.
are, almost $5 a fucking gallon. And but yet the federal government, who's Congress is crying about, they want to raise, and they're not.
Well, $174,000 just doesn't cut it. And the inside trading just doesn't. It doesn't cut it. Okay. So we're just going to have to give them a raise. Otherwise, you guys, they're threatening us. They will go to the private sector. And there will be people like me who are just too stupid to run things who will finally be able to get things done. Yes, please.
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 Yeah, sit down like for a while, because I mean, how long have you been standing up, dude? I mean, that's another thing. I mean, you got federal minimum wage at $7.25, and they're whining about $174,000 a year.
I made more than that at my high school job.
Yeah,
I was a line cook at a bowling alley, and I made $7.50, and I thought that I was rich. And I went to the mall every day, right? But I was a teenager, and I was working my way through school so that I could spend $45 a week paying off my car. Like, I didn't have those realistic adult responsibilities. And I mean, I think that I was in my second year of college working at US Bank when I was like $9.50. This isn't gonna cut it. I have real bills to pay. I had my own apartment. I had a roommate, and I didn't live on campus, and my parents didn't support me. They actually fought over who was going to fill out the FAFSA and let me have their income tax every year. So I had 75% scholarships to go to school. That's why I chose the school that I did. I chose Carroll University out in Waukesha, Wisconsin. They're a private Christian school. And I had originally gone for communications and, political science. I had planned on being an investigative reporter, which happened anyway.
Well, yeah, look at you go, girl.
Yeah, and then now I changed it to political science and religious studies, actually, because those are the two best undergrad for going to law school. And then I realized that law school wasn't the greatest option for me either. There's so much fraud going on in the courts. So I just couldn't live with that. That was so hard for me to deal with. But that's
I think that a lot of people, I mean, I have to say that I definitely got a reality check. I was in criminal law for 13 years. And so it's not what they portray, right? I was with a very large, I wasn't with a large firm. I was with a known firm in Denver. And so, they had been involved with the police and all these different aspects, and so I got a good taste of what you're talking about. And there's just you get as much justice as you can afford, but it's not. See, here's the thing, and this is where I wanted to kind of ask you what direction you plan on, or where you see the economic side of Colorado, because I feel like it's ridiculous. I mean, we're on every aspect, we're getting taxed. On every aspect, we're getting, very little for what we're putting in. I mean, I don't feel like I'm getting.
You're not.
No.
You're not. You're paying for it. You're not getting
Yes.
anything out of it. No, ma'am.
And
No. Okay.
it's not right. And then, like I think, I did a huge rampage on the toll roads because they just pissed me off so bad. I'm like, you used our money and then you're going to charge, like, everything about the government these days is so mafia. And so we need people like you to come in and be able to take the brunt. But so two questions: financially, economically, because this is the other thing. I know you're not taking money. I want to just announce this again. I know we said this before, but I want to announce.
Hold on. Before you announce that, my lieutenant governor asked me to. So I actually opened up a candidate committee. So I haven't been accepting donations.
Oh,
I
but not
will.
from the one, not from
Correct.
APAC.
No, absolutely.
Okay,
never.
okay. Oh no,
No.
I don't. I think it's great. No, you
Yes.
should. No, bring money, girl. Get it. You deserve it. No, I think you should. I think you should definitely be
Well,
opening
I
that
have
up.
a phase one and a phase two for spending for my campaign, right?
That's
'Cause
great.
phase one wouldn't even matter if we don't get onto the ballot. So that is our phase one is expenditures to help us petition and get onto the ballot. The second one is actually to get our voice out before November.
Yeah.
And so to get back to what you're talking about with the economy, what is wrong with people? I don't understand. Please wake up and vote for anybody else who offers this. Okay. Phil Weiser has a 107-page roadmap for Colorado. And I'm one of the few people who will actually read this. Even if I wasn't running, you guys, I'm a nerd. And I would have read it, okay? And then
I love that.
and then I would have been absolutely infuriated and been like, I need to get this out to the public. And I wouldn't have had a voice if I wasn't running, right?
Right.
The 107-page document is basically Phil Weiser talking over 75 times. He lists going into private-public partnerships with NGOs and private businesses. And essentially what he's doing is he's taking our $46 billion that you and I have given to the government. And he thinks it's a blank check piggy bank for him and his friends. And he's going to write all of these checks as if it's his money and he's going to give it to all of them. And essentially what this is doing is it's closing the Colorado economy totally. 100%. It will be entirely closed. Phil Weiser will choose the winners of our economy. You and I will be paying for this. We will have no choice about it whatsoever. Obviously, you and I are already the losers. So we're not going to be the winners picked in this. And we're going to continue to have excessive taxation as Phil needs to give it to his business partners. And he needs to create whole new entire departments to be innovative, right? Because he's taken away the innovation of the market. So he now has to replace that with a chief innovation officer. And so that is what we're dealing with. So when you're talking about that squeeze, that's what's happening. And so Jared Polis instituted this. Without a doubt, I've been watching him do it. And I'm actually thankful. And I probably thank God 2 or 3 times a day that Phil Weiser actually published his roadmap, and we now have a clear and concise vision of what the Democrat Party has in store for us. It's total communism, just to give you an idea. They're, and I don't know if it's communism or it's gone all the way back around to the other side and it's fascism, but it's basically government and big corporate control, and they're going to take our 46. Yeah, they're going to take our
capitalism is what it's called.
Hey, Robert, how's it going? Or hey, Stephen, how's it going?
Hi, it's called collectivism.
I know, Stephen, Robert. That's okay.
It's
called collectivism.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
So, were you listening to us? Did you hear what we were talking about? How?
I'm just about some other politician that's lying about something. That's what I heard. Yes.
There's a shocker.
No, they're actually being truthful.
Oh.
For once in their life, they're being truthful, but they're so bold about it. They're saying to us, hey, we now have a $46 billion budget, right? And so we're going to spend that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to give it to our friends and we're going to close it off to you. And that's what it is. And I'm so happy that he actually wrote this. And like I said, He mentions it over 75 times in this document. So I've done all of the analyses, and then I created my own document, which was probably what you were trying to look at, as you know, on my
Yeah,
roadmap.
they've blocked it. They've completely.
Well, Rachel, you are right. They are just finally coming out and telling us the truth, but they're sugarcoating it in a way that, you know, they got a big smile or a grin, and they have all sorts of excitement in their voice. This is going to be great for us, for America.
One of my friends said, "I'm not a good enough politician because I'm not chicken pecking at people."
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
You guys, the Constitution is totally being overwritten. You need to do something now.
Well, it's kind of like one of those things too, is that you're fighting an uphill battle. You know,
yeah.
there's no, as much as people want to jump on board with you, the indoctrination and the fear and all of these other things have really taken over in a lot of places. And especially, I mean, Colorado, I don't understand what happened, because it used to be, I don't know. I think, and maybe I'm just, I don't know. We were rougher. We were tougher. We weren't so.
Yeah. Oh, it makes me cringe every single time Victor Marx says that Mission 151 is for him to rescue Colorado. Victor, I live more rough than you do. Like, you know, I am out here cutting wood in 10 feet of snow. Victor, you're not doing that, and I don't need you to rescue me. Sorry. I've spoken to everybody else that I live around too. They're also gonna pass. They're like, no,
nobody wants
we
that
live
help.
rougher. We don't need rescuing. We need to do something for ourselves. We don't need a rescuer.
Well, and not only that, I mean, it's come to a point of where it's so corrupt that if people don't do something about it, it is going to end up with these. See, I mean, what I think is happening, and people can think I'm crazy or whatever, you know, all these data centers, the amount of energy and the massive scale of property and as much as they're taking up and as fast as they're going up, it's not, first of all, what they're telling us. I just don't believe that. It's just,
There's so much information about the data centers.
well, and
There's so much that you could take in here. And all I can tell you is that I agree with you. We are moving way
too fast.
Way
And
too
so
fast.
Well,
there's
they
got
have
to.
to.
They have
They
to.
have
That's
to.
right.
They're
Well,
living
they
the
do have
narrative.
to.
They have to overwhelm us with everything as much as possible, because then we don't know what to fight. And that's what the Office of Constitutional Accountability is. I'm literally like, oh, okay, you guys inundated us with 25, 30 different issues all at once.
Yeah.
And now there's just it's like bullet holes in the Constitution. It's tattered and barely
Well,
held
people
together.
aren't even, you know, if you
Working
think
as
how
fast
many.
as they can with these data centers, because they know that their time is coming up. What do you think, Stephen, that they're building the data centers for?
Well, it's a very, very interesting idea. What Sherry told me about 3 weeks back, whatever it was. She said she had a dream, and I've heard 2 Instagrammers and 2 or 3 TikTokers come out with the same thing. Maybe they heard it from Sherry. I don't know. Maybe they just come up with it themselves. They are using the vast majority of these resources for their underground bunkers. Because, I mean, we've all known for.
Well, and it's not just the underground bunkers. You got to think about the smart cities as well.
Yeah.
If you guys take a look at what has been, you know, projected, there's certain areas that are going to be focused upon, right? That are exactly where these data centers just happen to be. If we take a look back at what the Heritage Foundation put out, you know,
I've got a
anyway,
question for you,
you know, I'm not going to
Sherry.
get into all of that. What?
I know you've looked into the Denver International Airport a little bit, not extensively, but many others have. But
Yeah.
what are your feelings? I just had an idea pop into my head yesterday. I think that might be the continuity of government someday.
I'll be
Because
honest with you. I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I did know. I tried to actually get
yeah,
somebody to
but you
take me
have
down in there that one time. I
you have
believe.
feelings. I mean, you have
Well,
abilities.
yeah. My gut tells me that it didn't take 10 years to create a baggage system.
Yeah.
I mean, and it didn't also cost trillions of dollars. I mean, and they wouldn't have, fired
Over budget. Yeah.
contractors and on and on and on. I mean, there was just too much that went on. But now with these data centers, I think that this is another version or another part of the plan. And so what you are doing, Rachel, is extremely important because again, it doesn't, the donations, I want to go back to that. The donations, take them, girl. You deserve it. You need it. You take it all. Just not from APAC, not from Israel, not from other countries, not from people who are trying to Americans.
I don't. So this is the thing, right? So I actually have a working together agreement with my Colorado family. And it basically states just what you said. I'm having a difficult time just taking donations from Colorado.
No.
Again, the people that I represent, they're broke. We can't go to country clubs. We have to go to work. And so, that's the thing. And I have a Jewish background. Okay, I come from a Jewish family. My grandmother's like 4,000 years of Jewish ancestry, Rachel. Okay, and I do have famous historical people in my family background as well. So I come from the famous Russian Berkman family, and Henry Berkman was my great grandfather, and he was a spy for the U.S. after World War II during the Cold War, and he actually went into Russia and stole the royal German crown jewels back from Russia, and he is in the Library of Congress. And then his uncle, Alexander Berkman, he is like the father of anarchy, and he wrote the ABCs of anarchy. And I refer to him as Emma Goldman's boy toy. Because him and Emma Goldman, she's a historical anarchist as well. They were very much together. They didn't ever get married, but she was actually in charge when Alexander Berkman decided to unsuccessfully, very badly, try to assassinate Henry Clay Frick, who was the CEO of Standard Oil. And he was unsuccessful, and he ended up in jail, and he was finally pardoned 11 years into his 13-year sentence. And him and Emma Goldman were together throughout this historical time. And so that is my family history on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, I actually come from like the Chickasaw Nation and a German family by the name of Doss. DOSS, which actually translates from German as one that is loud and obnoxious. So we have a family shield, and we have a family, like a Doss family book, right? And we were, but we were not quite town drunks. We were just really loud and obnoxious. Okay. So that's how we were known. Yeah, exactly. Probably. I have a big mouth, so that's probably where it comes from. And me going around ringing the bell.
That's great. I mean, we need it, right? I mean, that's kind of
here he. Jared Polish should be in jail.
Yes.
The town crier was normally the man of the town that would get up and just scream all of the conspiracies,
Yes.
all of the corruption. They call them the town crier.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we need. That's what I've been doing. I guess
that is what we need. And it's also we need people like you, and we need the military, and we need men to kind of reestablish themselves in a way that brings back, there's no way that in 1924 this would have been going on. I mean, there they would have been, and this, the corporations being more important than any human is obnoxious. And the fact that, again, I want to get back to Colorado, because I do think that there is a lot of corruption in the politics in Colorado. And the problem is that, again, it's so in deeply bedded in the corporations and the money that it almost seems not like you can't do it, like, I'm not trying to discourage you. I want you to do this. I'm so proud of you. Go,
Oh yeah,
go.
no, so it's impossible,
It-
right? And all I keep thinking to myself is, God can make the impossible
that's right.
possible.
And I do believe that there are things happening on the planet right now also that are waking people up, and people are starting to see things differently. And maybe it will be a time where, okay, we're not gonna just keep voting for the same who have been hosing us all over the place, right? Because that's, I mean, there has to be some kind of point to where we can um take back our cities without being violent, without being um bankrupt.
So here's what I'm seeing on a mass scale. Okay,
Okay.
we have men who are admitting defeat and conceding immediately before they even try to fight anything. It's very much like what you just said, except for it's a bunch of able-bodied men who are doing this. And I'm sorry if I offend people, but really I'm not, because it's been 7 years coming for this. We all know that the government is working illegally. We all know that the
Yes,
government is Colorado is for sale. Colorado's for sale to the highest bidder.
Every
You
state.
know, and yeah, and every state is. And we have Florida and New York and California intervening in our election because it is going to the highest bidder.
Well,
And so
Pittsburgh
when
is too.
and then I turn around and I hear people say things all the time, it's impossible, it's impossible, it's impossible. I'm not going to help you. We are not going to do this. I know people who are saying that who are actually planning to run in the election 4 years from now. So they're already manipulating the election now in the hopes of being elected in 4 years. So when you hear prominent Republican podcasters say things like that, just remember that there's probably a millionaire standing right behind him telling him what to do. And I have seen this, right, firsthand. So that's the thing. So when I ran for office, this became a huge investigative report for me. I'm obviously going to tell people what I have found, if I make it to the governor's office or not. I'm going to let people know,
Yeah.
Everything. I'm just going to scream it from the rooftops, and everybody needs to make a decision on this. Unfortunately, I can't make that decision for people on a mass scale. And
But see, I don't think people really know. And this is another part of it, because here's, like, I found out some things just, because I was, I'm in the legal field and I contracted with a lot of different firms and different things. And so I became privy to different bits and pieces of government information where it was like one part of a government agency is renting a building from this corporation that they're not even using, but they're paying them every single month.
every month.
Hey, Rachel.
Every month.
Rachel,
You know?
ask Sherry why she became a lawyer.
Wait,
Oh.
what?
Ask Sherry why she became a lawyer.
Oh, why'd you become a lawyer?
Well, I thought at the time I was going to save the world, but
Yes.
let me just tell you that I got chewed up and spit out about 14 times in the first 2 weeks, and then it all kind of changed for me. And that's I thought with criminal law, I thought that I could make a difference. Like, I wanted to actually go into the judicial system itself and make changes, right? Instead of the penal, I can't even say it now, the colonies that we have going on, where it's basically slave labor, because you've got these private prisons that are using T-Mobile and all these major corporations. They're using slave labor. I mean, that's what the private prisons really are about. And so there's just, I really thought that I could make a difference. Yeah. Well, like I said, and then I found out what the rules really are. And
Hold on, just to clarify, what are those rules?
you get as much justice as you can afford. We'll say it again, right? Because that's and you can fight it. You can fight it, and we need to, and that's why we need people like you standing up and continuing that, because eventually it is going to stick. The way that things are maintained right now is not sustainable.
Yeah, no, I've unfortunately been wickedly ahead of the curve for about the past 5 years, and so what I'm seeing here, people will probably in the next election cycle be adopting it. But right now, everybody is so concerned. They're just so concerned about the red and blue war. Who's going to win? And you guys, neither of them are for you
at all.
Neither of them are for the American people in any way, shape, or form. Phil Weiser and Scott Bottoms both want to disenfranchise unaffiliated voters. Victor Marx is a private candidate. Barb Kirkmeyer wants to work across the aisle with lawlessness. Michael Bennet has sold us out to Washington. There's nothing here for anybody. And so I actually asked Scott Bottoms this. I asked him, how are you, if you do get unaffiliated voters blocked from the primary election, which he was not successful in doing, thankfully, because they were already printed, and then 2 days later the ballots were sent out to overseas military, and so they said that it was too late, too bad, so sad. But I asked him, how are you going to convince people that this election cycle is even legitimate,
or that it's legal?
And that it's legal, because from the front end, I've found out, and I've told thousands of people over the last 5 months about how our election process is unlawfully discriminating against unaffiliated voters and are putting us on unequal footing and access to the election based solely on our speech and our association. And I've told thousands of people this, and I told Scott this. That's not going to stop. So people that, that information is going to spread like wildfire. It already has.
People don't know. This is, and I know we talked about this last week, but I want to say it again. People don't understand how our legal system and how our congressional systems work.
And we're traumatized. I think that the American public is heavily traumatized right now. And I'm pushing forward through it. I lived a very traumatizing childhood, and I was in therapy for 11 years. They actually taught me every week how to be productive in a dysfunctional environment. So I can recognize a dysfunctional environment, and I can also push through it and find ways to be productive, even though it's dysfunctional. So instead of becoming part of that hyper-partisan fighting, I said, whoa, that's not even necessary. We can actually push past this, create constitutional amendments that close the loopholes, and all of us will be living in peace. And we can leave the Democrats and the Republicans to continue fighting over things they no longer have control over. Right. And so that's me being productive. But people don't normally grow up in traumatic environments. And so dealing with
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I think that used to be the case. I think that in generations before, I think that was true, but I think that a lot more people will relate to what you're talking about than you probably imagine.
Because I hope so, because I have been an island unto myself for a really long time. Most of my friends growing up, they had very functional childhoods. Their parents, really cared about them. I was on my own from like the age of 7. I've even asked my mom about it. She was like, I thought that you were really independent. You could do things on your own. My dad was psycho. And I'm not exaggerating. He tried to kill me on my 14th birthday. I do have witnesses, like my best friend from the time. We are still friends on
Oh,
Facebook.
not just like, oh, he's a little crazy. Like he's real
No,
crazy.
that's what I mean. So I lived a very traumatic and dysfunctional life as a child. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
No.
I was in a lot of therapy for this, a lot of anger management therapy 3 days a week. And basically, what they convinced me is listen, you live in a really dysfunctional environment, but there are ways for you to be productive. So I am one of the first women in my family to not have a teen pregnancy. I'm one of the first women in my family to not become addicted to hard drugs. I'm the one of the first women to graduate with a college degree on both
Ooh,
sides.
you
of
broke
it.
a bunch of cycles,
I
girl.
broke a bunch of cycles, right? And so,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I understand that some people have never been through something seriously egregious like this, and so when the government victimized them, right, when they shut us down, and this is what Stephen and I were talking about earlier that made me be like, hey, let's get on live here, because we were talking about the hantavirus and how they're going to try and shut us down again.
I sent you a video, but I don't remember which one now. If you remember what the video
Shoot,
was
no,
about.
not off the top of my. You do send me multiple videos, and I have a 5 second attention span, I guess, because I don't remember that one specifically. All I remember is it talking about how we were going to be shut down again and we weren't going to be allowed to leave. And I was like, yeah, I was talking about this back in 2020.
Oh, the lockdowns.
Yeah, the
the
lockdowns.
the hantavirus.
Yeah, the hantavirus and okay. And so they're going to lock us down again. And I, as a child, essentially raised myself on books. So I was an avid reader. I learned to read when I was 3, and I was reading hundreds of books a year growing up. And I had a real fascination with World War II. And I was telling him,
Interesting.
back in 2020, I was screaming. I was like, hey, you guys, they're trying to ghettoize the entire world. And they're turning our apartments into cattle cars. And we need to do something about this right now. And obviously everybody was too afraid. And now here we are, it's almost 7 years later. And we are dealing with people being so traumatized that they're like psychologically, we are having difficulty with connecting people and reality. Like I've seen so many people lie,
Yes.
just
Well-
lie blatantly. And it's like a psychosis.
I'll be honest with you, because it's to a point of where it's like, I think, if you are not willing to conform, you learned to lie about it, even though that it's still conforming in a way, but people that were not getting the injections, people that were not doing, different things, they were just, they felt they were so on defense because they didn't know what direction it was going to go for them.
Yesterday, go ahead.
I caught a video earlier on this morning. There was a woman that was in Europe somewhere. I don't even know if she mentioned where it was, but she rented a car. It was a brand new car, 2026. And she started to drive around wherever she was. And the car just suddenly stopped. She tried to hit the accelerator, wouldn't go down anymore. And he couldn't figure out what was going on. She kept trying to hit the gas, and nothing was happening. And finally, a message popped up on her screen and said, "We have shut your car down. We cannot see your eyes."
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I also caught another video about a week and a half ago, maybe. There was another woman that was in a distressful situation, and she tried getting started in the car. And the car wouldn't start because of her facial
Because her
expressions.
levels were so high.
Levels
Yeah.
were so high. Yeah.
Well, this is the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm keeping my 92 Ford that,
The Bronco?
it's an Explorer, but
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have a new car. I have I have a new one now, but I don't trust it. You know,
Okay.
it's not the same. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have two older cars. They're older. One has a black box, the other one doesn't. And I definitely don't want to purchase anything newer.
No, never. No, that's. I did have. I had a Toyota hybrid for a while, and I did love that car. I'm gonna say that the gas mileage was phenomenal. Um, but again, all electronic, and you just don't know, and so I don't have that car anymore.
On a video a couple of weeks ago, I think it started in 2009 or 2010, and I think Ford just filed for a patent, and they were getting the rights to. But I think in 2010, all the new cars and trucks, whatever,
Yeah,
We're gonna
I
have that
remember
shut off.
the road,
well,
they don't have control of their steering wheel anymore. It is virtually a joystick type of turn. You turn your steering wheel. I mean, look at these cases that we've all heard in the last 10 or 15 years. There's that actor, Paul Walker, supposedly died going 100 miles an hour in his Ferrari, whatever it was, and crashed into a tree. Well, a lot of the people that are into conspiracies think that he was actually killed
yeah.
because he didn't have control of his car. They took control. They can hack your car inside of a millisecond and take control of it.
I'm pretty sure that they can hack anything. I'm to the
I
point
was
where
just
I'm
gonna
pretty
say.
sure that they can hack
Yeah.
your shower head.
Well,
They're
they
hacking
can't.
glasses, they're hacking coffee.
Yeah.
You
They're not
know,
gonna-
and
they're
it's
not-
like I've ever seen
They're not
Eagle
going to
Eye.
hack a 1965 Chevy.
That's true.
Well, here's the thing about it though, is we don't know the technology that they have today is so different than anything that we can probably even comprehend, that we don't know what's really going on. And so this is, again, it's part of why it's important that what you're talking about, right, with the Colorado Constitution and how those things are just being stomped all over.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta fly.
It's okay. It's okay. You must smell sweet.
I watch videos all day long, girls.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, and so this is what we have to help people understand, and they're so traumatized that they don't actually want to hear what the problem is. That's what I'm seeing
Because
here.
maybe their brain can't comprehend it. I mean, you think about, I don't know about you, but I basically, starting in like 2012 on, started realizing that pretty much everything I had been taught or learned was a lie,
For me, 2007.
Yeah, so that's, you think, so you've been in this realm of watching, waiting for others to catch up. Well, so what they're doing now, to me, I'm sure it's more to you, is I see them catching up this much. Like, there's so much more that I want to just break open, and it's not all this conspiracy stuff. It's like, how we manifest, how our energy works, how our, like
yeah,
teaching our
definitely.
kids, the foods that we eat, why they're doing the things that they're doing, because it's not all of it is just complete conspiracy, want to kill us. It's all based in capitalism. And so by putting all these products into our food, they have a longer shelf life, and they can distribute more quickly by just producing a whole bunch and then keeping a warehouse full of it and rotating it out. But who knows if they really rotated it. But anyway, that's, so it's the demands.
It also has to do with destroying the family and destroying the masculinity.
Well, they've already done that, and I think that was essential, because again, if this had been 50 years ago, I don't even know if it was 50 years ago, probably more than that, because
They started this back in the 1890s, 1880s.
well,
This
you're
is-
talking about, yeah, but people weren't putting up with the same crap. You're talking about the Rothschilds and this whole, organization that is
Oh, you mentioned that a little while
foundation.
ago.
Do
They
what?
wouldn't have been able to have done this 100 years ago. They didn't have
No.
TV. They didn't have
Well, they were
terrestrial
they
radio.
were doing it, but they were doing it through the long game, right? They were preparing because it takes 3 generations to actually to actually instill something in somebody to where they don't question it. So you have one questioning it. By the second one, they're like, they're fighting it, but their parents are telling them to just behave, whatever. And then by the third generation, they know no different,
Yep.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean,
right?
I actually watched
It
that.
becomes normal.
I don't know. Did you watch Victor Marks and Candace Owens?
I watch a lot. I don't know. I might have. I watch a lot of her
no, you
stuff.
would know this because you would have been like, "What in the world?"
Oh yeah,
What?
let's hear. Let's hear. Let's hear. Because I like her.
Oh yeah, no, no offense to Candace, and I don't watch her. Everybody, I don't actually normally watch her. This is the first time I've ever watched a show. I wanted to see what Victor Marx had to say.
I want to see too. I want to hear. I want to hear.
Well, back in February, I was telling my mom that I've been dealing with, and if the shoe fits, I'm not calling him one, but if the shoe fits, there's a remarkable commonality between them. I have been dealing with Christian witches down here in Pagosa. Now, they actively say that they're Christian witches. I am not the one giving them this label. It is actually a very prominent label now. You can just Google it.
It's an
Christian witch.
oxymoron. I
It's
just
an
want to tell you because I'm a third generation witch, and I am not. So to hear somebody use the term Christian witch seriously makes me want to throw up because because the Christians hunted us, and it's not actually witches like what is going on with these demons on the planet. Witches are about the nature. They're about bringing back the feminine and all these other things. Yes. Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I just that. Ew. Okay.
Yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
right. Absolutely. Well, Victor Marx came out and said that he can actually do what Jesus Christ did and that he can do greater things than Jesus Christ. And I made a video about it, and I've been attacked by his followers who are, and I know what scripture he's quoting there because I have a religious studies degree from a private Christian university. So I have a pretty good idea about what's going on here, you guys. I also took Greek and Hebrew while I was getting my degree. So I was like, Victor, this is not what this means. It doesn't mean that you're going to have supernatural powers that are greater than Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, for the last 1900 years, people who claim to have greater supernatural powers than Jesus Christ were actually known as heretics, false prophets, and false Christs. So I did some research into this, even further research, because again, I've been dealing with this for the past 5 years down here. And when the Christian witches are questioned, where do you get the power to practice witchcraft under Jesus? Because they are contradictory. They quote the same exact scripture that Victor Marx did yesterday. And so again, there's that commonality there. It's just one. There's just one verse that Jesus says that my followers will do greater things than me. But what he actually meant was like great deeds, like loving your brother. He wasn't talking about
what he was in my. I mean, from my perception, what he was saying is that you can do the same and more, right? So it was not just like they're trying to take it out of context for their egos and for their own self gain. That's not what he's talking about at all.
Exactly.
And so through the Gnostics, which is what I'm talking about, which if they claim to be any kind of a witch, that's anyway, that just I can't even believe that somebody said that they made that up because they wanted to be able to think that they were somehow able to practice magic, but they didn't want to lose that tie.
So they incorporated the occult, hoodoo, voodoo.
It's ridiculous.
into
It's ridiculous.
these rituals. It is dark magic, unfortunately, and he's talking about how he's retooling demons, speaking to demons, and commanding them to do different things while still with the person that they're possessing. And he said that he was able to command angels, and there's nothing there in the whole Bible.
Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And that's something, I mean, again, and this is what, so somebody who was reared generationally and in a, I mean, it's called being a witch, it's called witchcraft, but really, if it breaks it down, it's really about the Gnostics and it's about the original Christ vibration, right? Because the whole thing is with the Bible being rewritten 91 times through the hand of man, right there shows that it's perverted.
And so they reinterpreted this in the late 70s and early 80s, and this is actually just a little tiny fringe faction of
Hey, Sherry.
Christians who are now, going into mainstream churches.
It's weird.
And it's very, very weird. And I had to stop going to my local church because of them constantly saying that they have more power than Christ, saying that as followers, they would be more powerful than him, saying that every single week they can ask for forgiveness and that they will be forgiven. And this was really difficult for me because I'm like, no, you have to actually ask for forgiveness in your heart. You can't just say, I'm sorry, and then keep doing the same thing or worse.
Why do you have to see? Here's my thing about it: is what are you doing that you need to go and say you're sorry every single week? Like, stop doing that. How about that? Like, just stop doing that. I don't understand. I don't feel sorry every single week. I'm sorry. I don't.
Seriously.
So
Sherry.
it's like, yeah.
There may have been 91 rewrites of the original Bible, but there's been over 1,600 partial edits.
I mean, that just it almost like pisses me off in a weird way. It's not really, but it's like it really, because it's like it's so indoctrinating. They took out the feminine. They took out, any type of to me realistic sovereignty of the human race. But on the other hand, you can't jump into, I mean, I believe from my beliefs is that we all have the same power as Christ, but because that's what he tells us, right? That we all are the same. But the difference is that you have, I think this is what you were saying as well, is that your heart has to be pure. You cannot be of intention of ego or trying to get your own way or have something to gain for self, or you to be in a Christ-like vibration, right? Everything has to be
in a Christ-like vibration, telling half of Colorado that they're noise and that you're allowed to block them and that it's a privilege to speak to you. And that is what Victor Marx and his crew were doing. And they've done it to me multiple times. And, there have been people who are like, I really love Victor. I'm going to have his crew reach out to you. And repeatedly they try and get him to do it. And then, they come and say things like, well, you were lucky that we even spoke to you. No, actually, you were lucky I spoke to you, and it was a different friend, because you are questionable, and I am pretty much beyond reproach. I am a mother who lives out in the woods, who's been homeschooling my children and defending 90-year-old women who roll into public meetings in their wheelchairs on oxygen, who are then told that the government is just going to break the law, and if the 90-year-olds don't like it, then they can just sue them. And so that, yes, and I am a strategic consultant down here, and I have been helping with people for years who've been dealing with the lawless government. And so then, of course, these vulnerable people look to me and they ask me, Rachel, can you please help? And I am, of course, I'm so loud and obnoxious. And I tell them, you're not going to like how I stop this, but I am going to stop it. And so that's what I've been doing. And so Victor Marx is out here fundraising. Scott Bottoms, bless his soul, he has really, really tried. Unfortunately, he's unelectable to me because he wants to discriminate against unaffiliated voters. If he had not done that, I probably would be like, go Scott, but the problem is that we are dealing with a severely lawless government it's not just targeting able-bodied male anarchists who don't believe in government. It's targeting 80, 90-year-olds who are unable to defend themselves. I have been doing this for over 4 years now. I remember one of my first cases was a man who called me up and he said, Rachel, I don't know what to do. The county literally condemned my house and said that I had sewage everywhere. And when I called them up and said, where is the sewage? They said that they hadn't been on the property. that somebody had just called them up and made this complaint, and they decided unilaterally, without actually going and investigating, that they condemned his house. No longer allowed to live in, done. And so he was like, I don't know what to do because I keep calling them and they keep giving me different answers. And sometimes it is literally as simple as telling somebody, get everything in writing. Once you get them in writing and you get them to agree to something, it's really hard for them to say that they actually condemned your house without going over there and looking to see that there's sewage all over your yard and in your house. And so, eventually the condemnation got overturned after 4 months.
That's what I was just going to say. See, this is what I saw also in criminal laws. It's like, because I was in defense. And so I never saw a guilty person be convicted. I'm going to be honest with you. They almost always got out of it. It always came to light what really happened.
Okay.
But their lives were destroyed.
Yes.
They destroyed.
The process is the punishment.
Right. And it's so, and I mean, you're talking about their families destroyed, their finances destroyed. You're talking about losing jobs, not like basically their whole life is completely destroyed. So even if they win, what did they win?
Right.
Like they have to rebuild everything. They have nothing to, anyway, the systems are broken. And this is part of, again, capitalism, because if we take a look at why Reagan brought in the private prisons, why legislation is constantly changing itself to screw its citizens, it's all about that almighty dollar, and it's lining their personal pockets. It's not even about lining, like their county, or getting hyped for, oh, my state or my this or my that is going to get. No, it's my pocket. I'm going to, receive these huge amounts of money. And because they've been doing it for so long now, they know the tricks of navigating fees.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
I don't even know if I can call it capitalism. My senior thesis for my political science degree was on corporatism, not Mussolini, right?
Right.
Real corporatism. It's called Christian corporatism now, because Pope Leo the 13th was actually the one that came up with the definition of corporatism. So what happened was the presidential seat was bought here in the United States. There's a lot of that going on in in Western Europe as well. And so the Pope actually commissioned a bunch of scholars and created a committee to find out what was happening in Western politics. And essentially what they did is they came up with a definition called corporatism in 1881. And the easiest way to define it is corporatism is group control over the individual, politically, economically, and socially. And based off of their research, they actually said corporatism is nothing new. This is something that has been going on, in early ancient democracies. As far back as that, it's just as simple as a group controlling individuals. So we have basically the Constitution has been inverted, and it originally was supposed to be for individuals, but then these groups convinced judges that it needed to apply to groups, and now it only applies to groups and it doesn't apply to individuals.
That's a basic definition of government right there.
Right there.
That's unfortunate. I mean, it's just kind of, hold on here.
So here's where
go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm gonna zoom out for just a second. I'm gonna, if I know how, which I don't. So I'm just gonna set the phone down for a second, and I'll be right back. You guys keep going. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
Sure.
You mentioned something a little while ago, Rachel, when I first came on. I didn't get a chance to get in there to say something, but I don't even remember what you said now. But you ever heard of a military term that's called full spectrum dominance?
No.
Well, you take a circle. There's 360 degrees on a circular spectrum. And what full spectrum dominance is a military maneuver. They will try to cover their enemy on all 360 degrees of the circular spectrum. And that's basically what they've been doing. Well, we've got 360 issues that we're fighting, but there's also these little sub issues. So you've got the quarters and the halves and the three quarters. In between each number of 360.
Yeah. Oh,
There are
that's true.
literally
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of issues that we're fighting.
Yeah, here I can give
Basically, what that
an
means is
example right now. Just here in Colorado, we have a serious problem with our right to privacy being completely eroded, and underneath that right to privacy is actually parental rights and the ability to raise your children how you want to. But then it's also all of the AI and the data centers and the flock cameras and everything, and so we have multiple half measures underneath the privacy issue that you're talking about.
well, look at what happened 25 to 30 years ago. You started hearing stories about children telling the schools or the police that their mother or dad did something, and the parent gets arrested, even though the incident never happened. The kid lied, and the parent got
Well,
arrested.
Well, so we have this issue going on here with the largest anti-gun lobbyist in the country. They're called Everytown. And I consulted on creating a active shooter business where people were training to prepare for active shooters. And this was probably back in 2022. And the person who wanted to open the business got a little afraid. It's a very, very contentious issue, and so they stepped away from it. And I tried to take over, but again, it's a very contentious issue. So basically, what Everytown has, they had this 143-page document that talks about how they're going to implement anti-gun legislation. And one of the things that they talk about is having the Secret Service be able to come into your house under a warrantless seizure, and take your guns if your child at school snitches on you and tells your teacher or counselor or whatever that you have guns, but they are not in the state approved safe.
Well, there was
So, well, we went through this, with drugs, where they were trying to get kids to the DARE program was trying to get, and I think some kids did turn their parents in for, and it wasn't legal at that time. We're here now, at least,
Well, that's why some of these states and cities started making these red flag laws. I think Alex Jones reported on it almost 15 years ago, 2010 or so, that they started recruiting people that come into your house to fix something, whether it be a plumber or an electrician or in-home nursing care. They wanted these people to start asking questions on, if you had guns, what kind of guns you had.
I was taking a survey the other day, right? It popped up in my feed, and they were like, "Oh, we need answers from people in Colorado. Please answer our political survey," right? And it's great. It's like, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Are you unaffiliated? What are you? And it goes through all of the demographic questions, and I'm like, I'm 10 minutes into this thing, okay? And then it's like, and how many guns do you have in the house?
Yeah.
I'm not, and I was like, and we're done.
And we're completely done. Not saying, well, so this is how crazy, for my family situation, which I'm not going to say too much on live, but my dad is almost 80 years old and has collected guns since he was about 19 years old. And he served 2 terms in Vietnam. So he
was a sheriff.
He was a detective for Denver for over 30 years. But that's going to be the issue in Colorado is you've got a lot of people that are they're not down for that. And so, these people are taking the people that are
Michigan's the same way.
Well, people that are taking those jobs on ought to really, really think about it.
Yeah.
You know, is it worth losing your life?
I try to tell I try to tell any police officer or sheriff that will listen to me, when the feds come in an area, they have to get police and sheriff's help. Police and sheriffs are going to be in the front. The feds are going to be in the back watching all the shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've been watching here. If I didn't know any better, I would say that they are trying to install a police slash military state.
Well, I think that they tried that. I think that that was the intention when they did the shutdown. I think that that was the intention, but people flipped out and it got carried away. So now they're having to, again, the long game, right? So it's like starting something new,
They've
getting
got a
another
plan- they've got
distraction.
a backup plan for all of their plans.
Every plan has a backup.
Yes.
Which is something interesting with law, and this is something that maybe a lot of people don't know, but no matter what law there is, and you think you're stuck and you think you're fucked, there is always, and I mean always, a back door.
Yep.
Because they create that for themselves.
That's right.
And so any law that you just have to know and be able to actually study and go back and not just take what they are giving you as standard statutes, Westlaw, and all this bullshit, because it's again manipulated.
Statutes, regulations, policies.
It's just one of those things that I think is interesting because, again, it's all about the people think that they have some kind of power, some kind of control, some type of say in what's going on, and they have zero. Right? They have no say, but they're paying for everything. I mean, I know I bitched about this last time, and I'm going to bitch about it probably for this whole year. How much I paid in taxes last year is outrageous.
Yes.
Outrageous. For a single person?
Yeah, no, we pay an exorbitant amount of taxes. It is insane.
It's outrageous. Oh, hi, Lila.
You're not even in California.
No, you're not, right?
No,
And-
but that's what they're trying to do to us, I think. Don't you?
Yes. Well, here's the thing that I see. Okay, so you have like Michael Bloomberg in Washington, D.C. politics coming in here to Colorado, and I believe that they've had a plan for quite some time. I would have to say that they were planning this again in the 70s and the 80s with Weather Underground.
Yes.
And Barack Obama adopted this communist agenda, and he figured out a way to actually scale it in the United States, and that's all that has been happening here for the past 20 years.
Exactly
That's
right.
happening.
And people don't understand. This is something that a lot of people don't understand, that Barack Obama really, he was a plan. He was put in to completely distract. Oh, God, I can't stand that anymore. So like to completely distract and to implement things because everybody was afraid to say anything against him because, oh, then you're prejudiced. And I mean, it just created this whole weird ass thing. The medical industry became corporate at that point again. Like every single thing in our lives is a corporate fuck you to the citizens. There's not one thing that's good for us.
That's right.
Well,
No,
yeah,
in regards to the healthcare system, I have a lot of experience in that with my rare 4 kidneys and super anomaly of a kidney inside of a kidney. So
What?
I was
I want to hear this. I want to hear what? Tell me again.
Sure. I, again, had a very interesting childhood. I started to have medical symptoms when I was 7. At one point, the school actually tried to get court-mandated medical intervention, and it did not work out. My parents refused to take me to the doctor and find out what was wrong with me, and that's how I ended up in therapy. And so it eventually went away when I was 11. And when I was 21, I started to experience symptoms again. It turned out to be chronic kidney infections in a kidney that they didn't know existed. So I was diagnosed the day after my 29th birthday with some extremely rare anatomy, a 1 in 9 billion anomaly on my right side. I have 2 kidneys. It's called duplex ureters. as they're normal-ish. They fuse together and they share a wall for their two separate collecting systems. But I have two ureters and they come out of my two kidneys separately, and they form a 5 millimeter horizontal juncture at my belly button. So they come out of my kidney like this, but then they come together for about 5 millimeters.
Did you say billion with a B?
Billion with a B. And then they separate again and go into my bladder separately. And this is called a capital H shaped ureter. And myself and two other men who are now probably in their 60s were diagnosed with this. They were diagnosed because they unfortunately had a torturous situation where they had like a 7 centimeter kidney stone in their 5 millimeter juncture, and it was so horrifically painful that they had to go in and
get in there
diagnosed. Mine was a little different. I have severe chronic pain in my left side, and that is the fun 1 in 16 billion anomaly. So I'm the only one who's been diagnosed with this specifically, and I've also had top hospitals in the country try to erase this diagnosis when they cannot treat me. So I was recently again diagnosed by the Cleveland Clinic after being diagnosed the day after my 29th birthday at the Mayo Clinic. And I have a small apricot seed, it's very small, size kidney inside of a regular kidney. And so this caused some problems. And I also have a couple 1 in a million anatomy anomalies with my nerves and my vascular system because of this small kidney. So I have been through the ringer when it comes to the medical system. And so over the last year, very specifically, I have reintroduced myself to the medical field. This was a horrible mistake on my part. I spent about $30,000 trying to get a surgery to remove this kidney that was causing severe problems and hydronephrosis. It turns out that this is actually a very dangerous procedure for me because unlike other people who are diagnosed with what I have, which is called supernumerary kidneys, where you have more than the kidneys that most normal people do, their kidneys, when they are extra, are actually on top. And so when a surgeon cuts it, when the surgeon cuts it and they suture it, no urine will leak out. Okay, it does.
Right,
okay.
right. It's got its little cup.
Yes,
or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But because mine is on the bottom, I will actually have severe urine leakage into my abdomen. So that was it. And I can't get the surgery. And so I have
You're like
a lot
a
of
superhero.
So I know exactly the causes for why our healthcare system is so expensive. I've unfortunately been through the ringer on this. So the first reason is because top hospitals are deviating, and they're not using standard reporting and imaging protocols when they're imaging you. So I had to get
Explain that better. What does
Sure.
that mean? I'm not.
Yeah, so I had to get a nuclear medicine scan.
What is
Okay.
that?
Yeah,
I've never
so
even heard of that.
It's a type of imaging where they actually shoot you full of radiation and they watch it go through your kidney system. And they watch how fast your kidneys filter this magnetic dye. Okay.
My cousin's son has actually has a degree in that.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
has a
okay.
degree in doing that? He does that?
You could ask him about this. There are, so the standard nuclear medicine organization, SNMMI, I don't remember exactly what that acronym means, but it's basically the standard imaging for nuclear medicine. They actually publish guidelines at like every couple of years on how hospitals are supposed to read these scans. And then the hospitals create their own internal policies for how to read the scan. And it just so happens that the hospitals greatly deviate from the standard protocol that is published. And so I'll give you an example. I'm supposed to receive a diuretic during this scan that pushes the fluid out of my kidneys, and it is timed. And this is supposed to test what your kidneys act like under stress.
Okay.
Okay. This
Right.
is standard. You are supposed to do this for all of the imaging. You can find this under the standard protocols for SNMMI. And so the hospitals decided that this is costing too much money and time. And so they decided that if your kidneys filter within a few minutes, that they won't even give you the Lasix, which the Lasix, again, is how they find out if your kidney is working under stress. So you sitting here without having drank any water for 24 hours, waiting for this scan, and you're good, right? Your body looks calm and it's
Right.
fine. And then the second that you try and drink coffee, for example, your kidneys go completely whack and they can't function, right? That's what the diuretic is supposed to show. It's a substitute for when you eat or drink another
Yes.
diuretic. And so they're refusing to do that. And then they're saying that people's kidneys are normal. And then 5 months later, people walk in with kidney failure. And
Yeah,
that
they're
is
dead.
yeah, and it's all money making. Yes, they tried to kill me, and I'm personally started taking a poison that would kill other people, but is actually helping my heart be kickstarted, and it's dilating my blood vessels.
Ooh, what is it? What is it? What is it? You don't have to say it if you don't want to say it.
No, I'll say it. Yeah, it's
I wanna know.
Dogbane.
What is it?
Dogbane.
Really?
Yeah, so Dogbane obviously will kill dogs. It's the killer of
Not
dogs.
just dogs. That's not. It's like that's like
Everybody.
very similar to rhubarb, right?
Yeah, anybody that has a circulation system and a heart, because what it does is it causes your blood to pump really, really fast, and then your heart explodes.
Yeah,
But I was close to paralysis because my issue with my kidney over the last year stemmed from being bit by a brown recluse. And so I had an envenomation.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yes, and I ended up going almost full paralysis in my lymphatic system. And this is essentially dilated and caused my heart to beat a little bit faster. And it also helped the swelling in my hydronephrosis go down. So it's supposed to help with swelling, and it's supposed to help with the vascular system opening back up, and basically kick-started my lymphatic system, which was awesome. So 6 weeks ago, I was really close to death. And when I was speaking to the doctor, she was talking about doing comfort care with me. And about 10 days, and then about 10 days ago, she said, guess what, Rachel? I'm going to tell you this. Like, you're not dying anymore. You are still struggling. You're still struggling, but you're not dying. So let's take it really slow. Don't start doing
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, don't start doing the shake board. Don't start
Must be the
doing like
nutrition.
red light dye. What was that?
Must be the nutrition.
Well,
The,
and that's the other.
your diet.
Yeah, me, because of my medical condition, I also have other secondary conditions. One of them is called renal tubular acidosis, which is just a really fancy way of saying that my body, my kidneys, can't filter out acidic ash from food better or as good as other people can. And so I eventually, if I eat the American diet on a regular basis, I actually eventually give myself metabolic acidosis. And so I have to give myself like a fasting cleanse. I do fasting cleanses regardless. But I was doing fasting cleanses for like 6 weeks in 2024 and 2025 to try and get rid of the envenomation and the effect that it was having on my body. But I regularly, because of my RTA, do 24 to 72 hour fasts and give my body a restart is what I call it. And I also take alkaline supplements like baking soda in very small amounts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that's yucky.
So
So,
my lieutenant governor is on here.
let's bring him in.
Drew, you want to come on, Drew? Yeah, invite him. It's Pack 22 Alpha. Let's see if he can jump on. That would be really awesome. I know he just got off work.
You should be able
let's
to
see.
invite him.
He said sure.
Okay, but I don't know how to invite him.
Let's see. Let's see if I can invite him. Aw, how do I invite him? Oh, is it just us three?
I think
Captain,
invitation. I sent him one. There we go.
Very
Okay,
thanks.
Hi there.
How's it going?
Turn your video on there.
Oh, how do I do that? What's going on?
There's a
Okay,
little
there we
button
go.
somewhere.
I got it. Howdy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Hi.
he does have that cowboy hat on.
It's
Oh yeah,
usually
we're
on.
true blue rural. We're the only true blue rural
About
ticket
as
here.
Colorado as it gets right here.
That's right, absolutely. I mean, you
Right.
see my backyard, right? I'm in
Love
the
it.
mountain. Like what he's looking at, I'm in, right?
Love it.
You guys might hear some howling though in a little bit. They're feeding all the wolves right now, so they're
I love that.
all over the place.
Oh, hi
Yeah,
guys. Hi
yeah,
friends.
Drew-
I want to see
Drew
that.
Robertson is the he's the executive director and founder of Mattersville. It's a wolf pup
I want to
rescue.
see them. If you
With
don't
that-
mind,
yes.
I'd like to see them. Oh, hi
And
friends.
he assists with homing veterans who are dealing with mental health issues. So
My kitty wants some
it's called
attention.
pack therapy, right, Drew?
We call it pack healing, yeah, because it's where the veteran and the wolves heal together from whatever situations veterans have gone through, plus, of course, the wolves that we rescue. I was just down in a big hoarding rescue in Florida. I just got back yesterday or right before. It all blurs together because I was only planning on going for 3 days, but the lady ended up catching like 50 felonies for animal abuse, animal cruelty. We ended up taking on 12 wolves and wolf dogs that needed to get rehomed, and it was a big mess. And actually, I was just listening to y'all's conversation, and you were talking about medical stuff and parasites, and I can't even make this up. My co-rescuer that went with me, he's a guy named Eddie. He got he had a little sore that showed up on his hand on the 3rd day. And we just got back, and he had started, by the 10th day, he started getting sick, ill. And I was like, yeah, let's go to the hospital if you're not feeling good. He's like, nah, I'm fine. And he'd get better after some time. Today, he opened up that cut, and it was literally a worm. Alive.
There's a lot of science out there, a lot of scientists that are suppressed that believes virtually all disease comes from parasites.
I believe that. I do a castor oil, like I use a castor oil patch, and I do a lot of that kind of stuff because I believe that I don't care what's going on. We are parasites, and so I'm sure we're full of them.
Well, I do a cleanse myself because I work with carnivores, right? So, I treat myself for a lot of the intestinal parasites. It's called Parapurge. It's a combination of ivermectin and fenbendazole, which is two main parasite killers, and and I take one that's dosed for humans so that I don't have to sit here and.
Where do you get that? I'm just curious. I know that a lot of people are gonna. I don't want to make this about that because I don't want it to turn into a Kate Perry
Front Range
show.
Organics is what the company is called that I order mine from.
Say it again. I'm sorry, I was talking.
Front Range Organics.
Front Range Organics. Okay, cool. Because that's something that I would like to. I have a dog that has cancer because I also rescue. Like I don't have a breed that I rescue. I just have 4 or 5 that I rescue, and like 10 cats and an iguana and a bearded dragon. Whatever comes around, I take it.
And sometimes humans.
Yeah, sometimes humans. I try to avoid that one.
Yeah, she's done it a couple times though.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out. But anyway, the ivermectin. So she's got this. I'm going to show this to you because it's crazy. Like I'm going to probably end up having to put her down, but let me find her because it's so outrageous. I've never seen anything like it. Hold on. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Come here. You see that?
Aw, poor thing.
Did you guys see my domesticated mountain lion?
Did you see that? Yes, I see that you have guard cats, huh? Did you see that? Is that and they're coming up all over her body. And oh, hi friend. Oh, hi, another friend. Oh. Well, so what I think caused those are the vaccines. and the prescription drugs that she's on, because she's got a lot of allergies, and I didn't know that. I mean, she was itching and she was so miserable that I thought, oh, well, I'll just put her on medication. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's what caused those tumors on her. And it's, if it were just on the outside, I would just have it removed, but they're all over on the inside. And so
that's a tough situation. It's like, you know, we had a dog that did pass from cancer, but we ended up. It's called the Tappens treatment, and they have one for humans, dogs, cats. This guy's literally came up with a cancer treatment for every type of animal dosed appropriately. The Tappens treatment.
I'm going to write that down because I want to wait.
So we did all the stuff that our vet would normally do to try and just slow it, because she was like, he's got it, it's terminal.
That's where
Mickey's
I'm at.
not gonna,
Yeah.
You know, she was like, Mickey's not going to make it. We believe her. She's a doctor, you know.
Right.
But I was like, you know, what would be the harm in trying out this Tappens treatment on him? And, you know, with everything else that's going on, what would be the harm in it, right?
Right.
He's got 3 weeks to live at best.
Right. That's where I'm at.
We started the Tappens treatment, and he lasted another year and a half. And you know, yeah,
Really?
yeah. And he was like, I mean, he was already at the point when, you know, that his heart, the cancer was pushing on his heart, and his stomach was filling with fluids. We were having to take him to the vet to get his stomach drained. Like all this, you know, stuff, right? And we're just like, okay, it's gonna be any time now. Started the Tappens treatment. Not just was he alive. We didn't just like keep him alive with machines for another year and a half. He was like, I got to a point where I was like, I'm pretty sure he's getting better. Like, I mean, like he's like doing really well. And he was with us for a while longer, and such a cheap treatment. It was it was CBD, ivermectin, curcumin, which is over the counter, and you know, and just a good stable rotation of that, and
It helps with inflammation.
yeah.
And
That
the
is
CBD
very
helps
interesting.
with apoptosis.
I've
And the
been using.
ivermectin helps with killing off all of the parasites and everything like that help create that environment of acidity, which is what cancer thrives in.
That's
Well, maybe you
amazing.
guys-
I love to hear that. I am going to look into that because I've been using Melaleuca honey and aloe vera, and I've been doing all these things because it started to turn black. And so as soon as I put the Melaleuca and the aloe vera, it stopped doing that. It just is there. It's just that it's spreading inside of her. So I know that as soon as I think she's in pain, I'm going to put her down. I'm not going to.
Well, yeah, we don't let them suffer.
No.
Especially animals.
I had to put down my female German Shepherd here in February because she was.
I would love to come and see the wolves. Is that something that people do or no?
Oh, come to our party that we
We're
are having next.
You're having a
week.
party? When are you having a
We're
party?
having a party at Mattersville with the
Launch
wolves.
party.
Yeah,
I
we're
wanna
having.
come.
Yes, please come.
Oh, let's
It's
write
kinda
it
my
down
fault.
because of. Oh, Steven, are you
I went
listening?
on a-
Let's write it down.
I went on. I was on
That
a
means him
rescue.
write it down.
I'm
Yeah,
1,200
we'll
miles
come
away,
down.
hon.
I know. I don't want you to come. I want you to write it down for me.
Why
Oh.
don't you come? Yeah,
Yeah,
Make it
definitely come check it out. Not only that, it's going to be
myself.
the launch party will kind of be
Oh,
a
I'm
VIP
coming.
experience because it won't be the typical tour setting. So it's going to be
That's
everybody
right.
hanging out and just kind of getting, we like me and Rachel want to have give everybody the chance to ask, questions, about, Colorado politics and really just like let them not, come face to face. I mean, that's kind of how we're going to be running the campaign the whole time was what we've been talking about is, just being an open book, being like accessible to Coloradoans. And so we're just going to keep the invites open and
You guys
keep
doing
inviting
town hall
people
meetings
wherever
and-
we're at so that we
Well, so
Yeah.
I'm doing this in a two-pronged approach. We're, Drew and I, we're going to be going live more often here and having our town halls here, digitally. But the idea for Drew and I, for our tour that we're doing across the state to get our petition signed, they're more like community appreciation events. So we're not going to be asking people, oh, you want a beer? It's going to be $150 to get in here. No, no, you know what? If you want to come hang out with us, you want to, shoot the shit, and you want to really find out the problems of Colorado here, then come join us. We're going to be in the park, have a hot dog and a hamburger. Let's really hash this out and see if we can come to a place where we can reunite our Colorado family, because we are so torn. And everybody's fighting so much over things that the government actually doesn't have control over. They don't have legitimate control. So let's just eliminate that, and we can get back to being neighbors again.
I mean, I agree. My family were original settlers here. So I've been here for a long time. I mean, my family came in, they settled Basalt, Aspen, all of that. The Williams clan came in. And so we've been here long enough that I've seen just dramatic change, and into where, like I said, I grew up here and in Denver, and my dad was a cop, and I was running wild like that. Those stories, that they talk about the cops' kids and stuff. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was
The
me.
preacher's daughter, right?
Yeah, I wasn't, the preacher's daughters, I think, have a tendency to be more, I was more about fighting and doing drugs and hanging out downtown and going to concerts, and
The preacher's
I
daughter
wasn't
did that
about,
too.
all the other stuff. Anyway, I just think so. I've seen so much, and it is time to get it back. I mean, it's time that things need to be reeled in, and I think a lot of people are starting to see it. It's not just people up in the rural areas. Like, we're getting sick and fucking tired of it down here.
Absolutely.
Red versus blue, this ongoing battle has been just dominating not just Colorado, but for way too long. People are literally identifying their entire life off of their party, and their party stopped representing them a long time ago.
Yes!
And it's
Yes!
just there were the other unaffiliated candidates that were, before other candidates even announced, they're like, oh, we're the pick for the unaffiliated party and blah blah blah, and it's like, hold on, we haven't even gotten to that season yet. You don't even know who you're up against yet.
And like Rachel and I have talked about, when it really comes down to, and this is, not that education makes a huge difference, but I am getting my master's degree in political science, mostly just because I've invested so much money that now I want that piece of paper, even though it means nothing. Anyway, so one of the things that I'm realizing over and over and over again is there is no third tier. When you get to a certain level, yes, they let people think that there is, right? Like, you can vote here and we'll agree and we'll put it on the ballot and blah, blah, blah. But when you get past that, there's only Republican and Democrat. There is no independent. There is no third tier. There is nothing. So if somebody doesn't run under one of those,
and if
They've made it
neither
a
of those
mathematical
parties speak for you,
then you're out.
Well,
Right?
and it's a mathematical certainty that they're going to be in control of the elections. They created the election laws to do that. So they have
Right.
a 10%
Right.
trigger for the previous election. If they get 10% of the votes for their candidate as the party, they get delegated the next election the ability to run ballot access elections. And so they have a vested interest to make sure that people like Drew and myself stay home. Not just for participating, but actually to vote. And it's a mathematical equation that the more people who stay home and do not vote, the easier it is for them to win that delegation, because they only need 10% of the votes cast.
But they don't even need that now because they're changing the regions. I mean, this is
what they change everything. They're
Right,
changing
that's-
everything. And even when you call them out and you're like, hey, this isn't legal, they actually say, well,
kinda.
Legal schmeagle, huh?
Well,
Yeah,
and believe me, I mean, I deal
and
with
then
the.
the judge says, you know what? I'm going to agree with them. It's too late, even if it is illegal.
Because the
What
judges
what
are all bought and
doing?
paid for too.
And so this is it with Colorado, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I got mad, and I have tried to quell that because there's been many, many years here where I've kind of been stuck fighting this alone by myself. I've been, again, a
Right.
woman on an island out here in Pagosa. And so getting angry is not actually going to solve anything. And so
No,
I've tried
you've
to
gotta be
really-
strategic.
Yeah, again, I've tried to be strategic and productive in this. And I got really mad after I got off of my court hearing for Savi Griswold trying to stand up for 2 million Coloradans who were actively told we are allowed to be put on unequal footing and discriminated against by the state. And if we don't like it, we can join the party that doesn't represent us or care about us. Or in my case, they actually, this is terrible, but the Republican Party, there have been multiple members and leaders over the last 2 weeks who have been comparing me to illegal aliens voting in our election. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a multi-generational American citizen. I have been here for quite some time.
They're going to throw whatever they can. It doesn't matter. They just want to, it's just a little bit of dirt and then it can go a long way. And that's all they're trying to do.
Get me to drink from a separate water fountain because I'm unaffiliated. I'm
It's
not
just
playing. They're like, you're not allowed to
I
be
had
here.
to, I had to remind Rachel the other day. I said, Rachel, stop feeding the trolls, girl.
That's right.
Girl.
Although I mean, it
It's
can be
just a
fun
straw man
sometimes.
attack
It
is
can be
all
fun
it is.
sometimes.
That's how they survive, is off your,
It is, man. But everybody is a troll now. That's the thing. My other candidates are trolls. It's
Because they don't want. This is the whole thing. Is that it's not just about. You can't take it too personal. People do not want their paradigm shattered, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we've grown up thinking things are a certain way, and then to find out that pretty much every single thing that we think is true is a lie. I mean, you're talking every single thing, in my opinion,
Oh yeah.
and that's a lot to swallow. And
Some
you know,
people,
so
some people want to stay locked in the matrix.
that's right. They want well, and maybe. We
Nobody
don't
wants
know
to.
what people's karma. This is my belief. I don't know how you guys believe, but I don't believe that we don't know everything that's going on. Maybe some people are supposed to stay there.
Nobody,
I don't know
nobody-
that. I'm just saying, like, if that's what they want to do, that's not my place to. I don't care. I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to, like, move forward, or move the vibrational frequency up so that we can get out of this bullshit that we've been in for so long. And
how did it make you feel when your paradigm got blown away? It made me feel stupid, and nobody wants to feel stupid.
it was not.
Nobody
You and I
wants
were
their
on
paradigm
air
blown
back
away.
then, and this was in 2012, and people acted like I was a lunatic. When I started talking about the government being pedophiles and all this shit, and I was like, they've got them in the underground.
And then we've got county chairs who are being arrested for
Oh, it's all the way
soliciting
down the
a
line.
child prostitute just last week.
Yes.
It's out of control behavior is what it is.
because
you
it's been
know,
made
and-
acceptable. I'm going to tell you
I'm
right
not
now,
really-
it's been made
People-
acceptable, and it's
People-
because if you take a look at our judicial system and the way that things work, I'm not a big women should have more rights and all this other stuff. No, I don't care about all that. I just want human beings to just be that. We're just humans. And so it's all, whatever. But when it comes down to the fact that you look at some of these states that are Republican or are in the Bible Belt, and it's a higher penalty to have an abortion than it is to commit rape or murder. Yeah, there's an issue, and you're not just talking about an abortion. I'm not just talking about somebody, oh, oops. I'm talking about that has been either raped or had something serious happen to them where they should have the right.
Yeah,
right?
ectopic pregnancies, for example, they're 1 to 2%.
Exactly.
Of abortions technically a year. I actually tried to do the research on these numbers. There's nobody who's doing the research on how many
Planned
abortions are
Parenthood.
actually
You got it.
needing
This is
medical
you got to get.
intervention, but it's quite a bit. There's at least 100,000 women a year in the United States who are getting them just for ectopic pregnancies alone, just for
But that's-
ectopic pregnancies. philosophies.
But see, here's the whole thing: is that there's so much ignorance, because this is the thing. We've when the Bible and everything kind of got hacked, it's not women are getting into this, and people are getting the man hating and all these other things, and we can't do that, because it's what's happened is the patriarchy has been perverted, right? So we've got a situation to where the original patriarchy would have been fabulous, right? Men are men, and they come in and they take care of women, and they take care of children, and they take care of those that can't take care of themselves. They handle shit, that's great. But it's been so now to where it's just been completely convoluted, and so it's all got to be torn down and rebuilt. And that's where people in areas like where you are, you're going to have a better opportunity of doing that than people in the cities where they're going to try and shut things down and blah, blah, blah. I think.
Boy, I hope so.
Rachel, you should connect Sherry and I with, what's your name again?
Drew?
Drew. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say
I'm
Andrew, but that
connected to
didn't
you. I
sound
think
right.
I'm following you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think I because of the dogs. I love the dogs.
Well,
didn't know you were.
Drew's going to lead our humane reintroduction for wolf introduction.
I would love to be a part of that. I'll show you. So I actually have he's a Chow Husky mix, but he's got lupus. So I'll show you.
We have one with lupus right now too. We just got this amazing new medicine for him that's been helping his face heal a lot around his nose and stuff.
You do? Okay, that I would love to hear about, because I've been using coconut oil. I did the steroids, that didn't work, and now I'm using coconut oil and doing it, and I'll show you. It's not. It's bad. Yeah. What do you?
No, I forget the name of the new medication because we actually started it while I was on this rescue in Florida, and Tracy, my co-director, put him on it, and she it was awesome, because like for a year we've been trying all kinds of different stuff, and it just seems to get worse.
Yes.
And this is the first medication that worked, and I didn't know, but there's a couple different types of lupus, and again Tracy would explain it better than me. She's especially while we're campaigning, she's going to be taking over as my director of, as our director of animal care, which she's been training for a while. So
I'd love to talk to her. I'd like to get more information, but I'd also like to get her on here and get you guys on here on top of the keeping constitutional, keeping Colorado constitutional. I think that Rachel would agree that trying to get back to our roots, right? Like getting back to where we don't mistreat animals, we don't mistreat livestock, we don't, the things
veterans, elders, like
Yes!
all the, yeah.
People that are vulnerable, we don't mistreat them. Like that's just,
I
yeah.
think a lot of our mental health issues right now in the United States, and particularly here in Colorado, has to do with abandoning our community.
Yeah.
So that is what I am, and I know Drew is trying to heal. That's why we keep talking about our Colorado family, because yes, everybody has that family member who's suffering mental health issues. Everybody has that family member who's angry. Everybody has that family member who's lashing out. But that doesn't mean that you stop loving them. As a matter of fact, they probably just need a hug. They really just need somebody to say, you know what, I am here for you. You're not alone, and we can do this together.
Get this, guys.
I reared 3 girls by myself. Let me just tell you.
Get this.
Sherry,
There's
What?
a message. There's a message down at the bottom of my feed here. It says, "Consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health."
Oh, that's because I put up my cigarette on the stupid thing. Sorry, guys.
No, you're talking about natural healing too.
I'm like drinking my water. Like, wait a second.
No, it's me. It's always me. No, it's always me.
Blame the witch.
Yes.
Blame the witch.
Steven has been doing radio with me for so long. We used to do live, and it finally got to the point of where like one of the owners was like, If you cuss one more time, I mean, it would be
I can't tell you how many times we got kicked off the radio and didn't even know it.
yes.
Yeah.
Because
Drew,
I would.
Drew and I are trying to maintain some respect, some mutual respect with people across the political
Yes.
spectrum. I have to tell you, sometimes that is not possible. This week, for example, I had a woman who didn't think that I would see her public comment about me. She literally said that I was dangerous, that I was a pedophile, that I was planning to traffic children and force them into a cult, all because I said that children
You were so
and
busy
adults
on the back end. I don't know how
this
you
is
do
crazy.
it.
I'm
I
all
don't know how you do it.
Wow.
yeah, no, I know. I'm Superman, just like the bad guy, though. I got a whole list of things to do to hurt people,
That,
right?
no.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and so she didn't think that I was going to see that, and I told her, I straight up was like, "You're despicable. Do you even understand what you are saying here right now?" Because, and the whole thing got triggered because I believe that children and adults, everybody, has the right to choose whether to vaccinate. Not
Oh,
even.
I know. Don't get me started
not
on the
even
vaccinations,
that's
girl.
Right. That's right. But not even like.
That's how me and Rachel met, was in a vaccination situation with my daughter regarding Summit Elementary School in Woodland Park. It's they first they wanted me to give her completely unnecessary vaccines, because it's on the list. And then I said, now we're not going to do that. They said, well, now you got to sign this exempting her, or you got to go get a medical exemption. I was like, no, I really don't
I
think
could
I
have
do.
signed that for you. See, that's anybody out there now in the future.
I'm not putting my daughter on a Nazi-style Gestapo
and there you go.
list
That's true too.
to know,
because
I
whether,
did no
you know.
exempt for mine, but that was a long time ago. That was
Yeah.
my kids are grown.
The very
No, I-
nature
I
of the vaccine
consulted for
mandate,
Drew.
the vaccine mandate itself, or an exemption, should both are unconstitutional in nature.
Well,
so-
and also, if I remember correctly, they have a database and a list of people and kids, so like even if you're exempt, you're really not exempt
Right.
because they're putting you on a database.
Right.
And so, that was how I met Drew, is I was like, I'm willing to give you the worst news so that you can prepare for speaking to the lawyers. And I told him about my first book, How Medical Tyranny Murdered the United States Constitution. And that's a historical legal analysis on how the government, both the legislature and the judiciary, have worked, and the executive, have worked around the Constitution to enact medical tyranny. And now here we are. We have, a Supreme Court case from 1905 that is allowing all states to have this enormous amount of police power. And now they're allowed to try and define what societal health is, what civic health is, what personal health is, what public health is. And they've got all of these issues. So what you were talking about when you were like, I thought that they were trying to do a military coup and everybody just got so fed up with it, right? That's how I see it too. When I look at it like 2021, I see the 8 stages. It's historically written, so anybody can look up the 8
Right.
stages of a silent military coup, and
Right.
you will see that America actually went through all 8 stages of the silent military coup process back in 2021. But I think in 2022, people started to really they were fed up with it, and again, they've got plans for their plans, and
That's
so
what I
they're
was just gonna say.
Let's put it on the back burner right now. And here we are. It's another election cycle, and they need to introduce the hantavirus. And so they're just going to continue doing what they've been doing.
Well,
That's
I
what
think what's interesting is that so people say, oh, well, I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Okay. But here's the whole thing about it is that they use it. It's the same tactic with a different version, right? So it'll be something like, they're not going to go about it the same way every single time. Right. They're going to, they do it a little bit different every time. And so that way, then people don't remember. And it's like, you can see the cycles, like what you're talking about, like through the generations of, okay, well, this happens and then this happens and then this happens. And then it goes away for a little while and then this happens and this happens and this happens. But we're at a point now of where, like I said, in Colorado, the state of Colorado, you've got a 40% homeless rate. You've got a 36% tax rate. You've got, people can't afford groceries, gas. You can't afford to go to work. I mean, it's like, and now, and this is what I was talking about earlier with the gas prices. The gas prices are now in comparison to the federal minimum wage. So the federal minimum wage, regardless of what your state does, the federal minimum wage is $7.25. In the state of California right now, they're paying more than that for 1 gallon of gas.
Have any of you seen the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're living. It's just, yeah, time is
Well, look it up now.
You know? So it's an hour of your life gets you, you know, enough gas to get back home. And if you don't get home, you're
Yeah.
homeless.
Rachel, I've got a question
this
for
is
you.
the thing. Just one second. So the lieutenant governor under Colorado serves at the pleasure of the governor. And so I've actually and Drew wants to take this on. So he's ready to work, which is awesome. And he's got amazing ideas because he's already been implementing them. So he's going to be working on reducing homelessness, and he's going to be working on helping veterans, and he's going to be working on mental health. And we're going to be working together on affordable housing because we have all of these awesome ideas.
I've been a great program down here.
Yeah,
that you
and
guys
I've
should
been
get
working on
involved with.
affordable housing down here, and he's been working on homelessness out there. So it's a really awesome opportunity for us. He's not just a symbol or a figurehead. He's actually going to be going to work, and he's already been implementing the ideas, which is awesome. So
I want to build the houses. I want to see there. I want to be there. I want to see it happening. I want to make sure it's getting done. Like the thing that pisses me off the most is looking at the VA budget, looking at the homeless, you know, the like all these huge budgets that we put into these problems every year. And they are all awful. I mean, ever since I've lived in Colorado, I literally just watch them throw these millions and billions of dollars away. And I'm like, I could have ended the entire crisis with a fraction of that. But
they don't. You have to understand that they don't want that to happen.
They don't want to fix it. They clearly
They don't want to fix it. They want it
because then the money stops flowing.
But you guys got to think about if the whole thing, if these data centers are what I think they're really about, which is these, you know, the underground cities, but also the smart cities. Right? They've got to get enough homeless. They've got to get enough people into a homeless situation to where they can start moving them and allocating into these smart cities. And once that starts happening, then they've got complete control. You know, that's when the cryptocurrencies and all these other things will come into play.
Well, there's already amazing options from like that are affordable that we can implement right now that are kind of like that could even start pointing us in the direction of these smart cities. Sleep pods, all kinds of different things that could be checked in, checked out just for some, it's not a 5-star hotel, but it's got a place to take a shower, wash your hands.
Exactly.
In Japan.
I have heard that.
Because the trains stop at 10 o'clock. Yeah. And so if you miss a train to get out of the city, right, from Tokyo or whatever, you miss the train and you're stuck there overnight. So they actually, it's like an ATM room.
But
and
you're
just
safe.
But you're safe. But you're safe.
Which makes a huge...
There you go.
I just don't believe... I think...
Hotel.
Oh, and well, I just think it's interesting because... I just don't think that. I think that one of the things that they said is that having control over the human population, having control over a certain amount of the population, you're talking about, universal income and all these other things. Well, if that's really going to be implemented, all these things we're talking about with, dropping the population down, that's going to become a reality because.
Universal income's never going to happen. I personally don't think, nor do I think the digital currency will ever end up winning. The reason why Bitcoin and everything became popular in the first place is because it was decentralized away from our government's hands, right? Away from all government's hands. So, the cryptocurrency, I could see things like that staying in place, but if they try and go to a universal currency, then everybody's going to go back to using goods and services as currency instead of...
I wish they would anyway, but yeah.
Well, for sure.
Well, I know
Stephen
asked, what do you think is really going to be the future here? And I think that's why I had the urgency to run, is because my vision for the future was like it was like an emergency, like alarm bells going off for
I
me.
think a lot of people felt that, but
yeah, I mean, we're talking
I was there to
a
support
lawless
you.
government.
And
Yeah,
then
you
when you
were.
said you needed
From the
when you said
very
you needed
beginning.
somebody, I was just like, no, I mean, I'm like, Rachel's what Colorado needs. She's got my vote, and she's
Well,
like, yeah,
you
well, I got a problem. I need a lieutenant governor that's ready to, kick some ass and
and the
take
thing
some
is
names. And I'm like,
unfortunately, as much as people aren't going to want to hear that, she needs a man to stand, because people don't. It's unfortunate, and I'm not saying that this is in all cases, but in a majority, because I'm in a male dominant
field, yeah,
field,
yeah,
and so on an average, if I have a man stand up and say the same thing that I would say, I get a much better result.
I
If
used
I get
to
up and say it,
So in my political theory class in college, I sat next to my best friend. His name was Cliff. Okay. I sat next to him. The teacher was so utterly sexist. I would raise my hand. I would give the answer. He would say that I was wrong. And eventually got to the point where Cliff would just raise his hand, quote, verbatim,
yes,
what I had just said. And he would be like, yep, this same man was also my faculty advisor. He told me to go be an assistant for a man. That's what he said. He said I would make a great assistant for a man. So
I've heard it. I
a
know.
little bit. And you can ask Drew about this because I've said it to him. Thank you so much for being a man and standing up when most men are not. They're running away from this problem, and we're running toward it because Drew and I have children, and Drew and I met because of his child having her rights violated. And so it's not like I spoke to Drew for 2 days and then was like, Drew, come be my lieutenant governor. Drew and I have known each other since last October. And I have consulted with him on a couple legal issues since then. So he knows that I'm the real deal. When he went to go talk to the lawyers, he actually came back and said, they said exactly what you said. They said exactly.
Like verbatim. I was like, well, that sucks. That means I have no rights.
Yeah,
I'm like, that was the end result.
But there are things that you can. So, like one of the things that because I dealt with a child that had a very, very high IQ, but refused to conform in any way. Like I am telling you, I went through some shit.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for you, and good for her. I mean,
yes,
it sucks for you and sucks for her, but good for.
But it pushed, and I did. I mean, I spent a lot of time with the superintendent's office. I ended up using being a witch as to my benefit because they couldn't. They wanted to, do all these things to her, and it was against my religion.
Yeah.
And so I played that, and I actually had a woman come in and say a bunch of stuff. I mean,
So are you legitimately like a witch, like a Wiccan? Like,
I'm not a Wiccan. I'm a witch, but Wiccans are. No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a third generation, and it's
Okay.
more like a Gnostic.
Yeah.
Witch.
Okay. Agnostic. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's yeah, I'm a third generation. I reared a fourth.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I'm again, I would love to be educated more on that. I've always been, fascinated by different religious perspectives and stuff like that. Yeah. It's because I always like looking at where they tie together, and by that I mean where all the different
That's right.
faiths can come together.
And that's
because
where
there's always tie-ins.
Well,
I'm a Christian myself, but again, I'm judge not lest ye be judged. So
Well, and that's exactly, and not only that, but it's also like I'll be honest with you. Like I could have a serious breakdown of the Bible with you and how the Gnostics are actually more Christ-like than the Christians these days, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying that the Christ vibration to act in the love of Christ is not what 80% of Christians are doing today.
No,
and
they're judging everybody based on their initial impressions and not getting to know them.
But living in
Jesus would have gotten to know them and
Right.
he would have loved them regardless. Right?
It doesn't matter. That's the whole thing. And when we say not being in judgment, it's more like, to me, and I'm not saying that this is how it is for everybody, but for me, it's more like, why do you care? Worry about yourself. Like, take care of yourself, and then the rest will follow. Like, you don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing. It's like, I don't need, like, that's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a big thing. And I reared my daughters very, like, it was, we didn't have rules like other people do. And so I had to back them a lot. I mean, I went to battle on a regular basis. with the school system. With, I didn't want them to drive until they were 18, and so that was another weird thing. Just different. I was probably a little bit of controlling, but I also gave them way a different freedom, than what a lot of people had, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I'd love to have discussions about. I'm into religion, and I've actually studied almost 11 different types of religion, and I was a Scientologist for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And people, go ahead.
Have you ever read the similarities between Buddha and Christ?
Yes,
Phenomenal
I was a
book.
Christian
Phenomenal
Buddhist for
book.
years.
Yeah, a
I
phenomenal
was
book.
a
I
Christian
mean,
Buddhist for many years.
blew my mind. I'm like, wow. So Buddha literally like had all these similarities between
Right.
like Christ and except 500 years earlier, 2,000 miles in a whole nother culture.
But still
Wasn't
giving
that,
the same message in so many ways. I mean, and using parables and using, all these different things where, and this is, I guess, why I feel like when I say, it's not that I'm against Wiccans by any means. It's just that they are a modern um, theology where.
I only use the term because of movies and TV. That's as
Right.
much as
Well,
I know about it, right? Like,
and that's so well, and that's anytime you ever hear somebody use the term what is it? What do they call male witches on TV? Warlocks.
oh, okay, warlock.
Anytime you hear somebody use the term warlock, you know that they are not genuine. Because a witch is a witch is a witch. There is no differentiate. There's no male or female. And so for them to be like, oh yeah, the warlocks. No, that's patriarch bullshit.
They don't call them wizards.
We don't do that.
Yeah. I used to call them wizards.
Wizards.
Oh, now that I like that.
Call themselves wizards. Yeah, they would call. I mean, I've had male witches call themselves wizards. I used to call them witches, and then they would be like, "I'm a wizard."
Oh my God, that's so
then,
funny to me.
So then I was like, "Okay, then you're a wizard."
I do have to jump off, you guys. I have our team conference call. It's every week. It's this time every week.
Enjoy. It was so nice to meet
Talk
you.
to
I
you.
love the animals. We'll all connect again next week, hopefully.
Please do. Yeah, looking
Let's do
forward
it.
to it. Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Good to see you guys. Yeah, chat soon. I got to figure out how to get out of here.
I don't know how. I'm sorry. I don't know how to help you.
Thanks,
I think there's an X at the top of your phone.
Oh, there. Okay.
There it
Oh,
goes.
God, that
Yeah.
was scary. Okay. I should probably go too. I need to get off of here. It was so, Rachel, you are a rock star. I
Oh, me
really,
too.
You went
I
for 2
really
hours,
enjoyed
Sherry.
talking to you, and I do want to come up to Pagosa Springs. I really think that would be fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not that far. My daughter is up. She just was up in Pagosa Springs yesterday, I think.
Oh, okay.
Hiking.
Well, I throw the best parties. This is something that this is something a lot of people don't know about me. I used to hang out with Ozzy Osbourne in his dressing room and stuff like that. So I throw pretty spectacular parties. So that's something that is going to catch everybody by surprise here. But I just want to say, one more thing here, that we all need to be extremely weary about what is going to happen here in the future. So I know that we are all having great discussions here, but I don't want us to forget the urgency that's going on here, because
Right.
in my opinion, I feel like this year is make or break. If we do not stop this train wreck, I really feel like something really terrible is going to happen. Really
This is
terrible.
a-
And
yeah.
when
I think
this
you're
is
right.
the last
I think
generation.
that
you're
it's
talking about
yeah.
the population decrease and everything, I think you're right. I mean, that is their goal. If they implement artificial intelligence and they get rid of all of our jobs, they're not going to provide all of us with
Right.
universal basic income. They're going to provide that maybe to the survivors. And so that is my worry here. But at the same time, I don't know how to convey that urgency to the public. And I think
Well, I
that's
think that
one
it's-
of my struggles here.
I mean, I think that one of the ways to do that, and I don't know, I think you'll be, maybe this is just a shot in your ear, is that it is scary to think about. If you really start taking a look at what the fuck is going on, it's horrifying. So we have to kind of, in some way, give it some comic relief, but also kind of like George Carlin. Everybody knew that what he was saying was true, but it was still funny. And
Right.
because otherwise you're talking, you don't want, we don't want society going into panic. What we
Right.
want them to do is to wake up and stand up slowly, take a deep breath, and take a look at what's going on, right? And then make changes from there. And so if everybody goes into the
Non-violently.
right,
Because otherwise, here's the thing, and I actually
Yes.
used to be like, let's do the revolution. I'm sure Stephen remembers that, right?
Me
And
too,
this
me
was
too.
a while ago, but and I realized that that's not going to happen. And if it did happen, we would only be fighting each other.
Well, and
they
that's the whole
they'd
thing
be
is that the
sitting
military
in
is
they'd be sitting in their ivory towers watching
That's
us
right.
destroy one another.
loving their life. And the
Loving their life.
military is the modern day mafia. And so it really is going to take the military of the United States to stand up against
And the
the
police.
the
Yeah.
the really yucky people that are running the world right now. It's going to take them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
All
this
right.
was so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please send me information. Let's try and do this again next week. And send me as much information as you can about your party stuff, and I'll get it out there
What I'm
too.
gonna do is I'm gonna hop off of here and I'm gonna recertify my HTTPS
Yes,
on
do
my
that.
website so that you can actually go to it and come on, GoDaddy, and I'm gonna contact them again and ask why this keeps happening. So
We know why it keeps happening, but okay, you do
have a good
it.
night, everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.